Welcome to our second edition of On the Spot. My name is Alan Moff. I'm the Kent State Athletics beat writer at the Record-Courier, and we have our special guest today, pretty familiar name and face to most readers of our newspaper, Don Dreger.
Yep, former sports editor for a number of years, retired 3 years ago, and enjoyed all the sports in the area.
My wife and I were looking through old photos last night, and we stumbled upon this beauty here. This is our Record-Courier sports staff in 1996. This is when I became the Kent State beat writer for the first time. I was promoted to full-time. Don was already on staff then, and then Tom Hardesty, who was still on staff, also pictured standing, and then seated as our sports editor back then, Tim Hauser, who's now at the Columbus Dispatch. Does that bring back some memories, Don?
Oh yeah, we had quite a crew those days.
But I brought Don in today. Don was kind enough to come and join us. Don knows a lot about sports in this area, high school, college, anything he would like to speak of. And so Don's a real good guest to have to talk Kent State today.
Yeah, Kent State. One thing that's always boggled my mind is that the university sports department has trouble selling their product to the student body. You got 40,000 students at the university, you can't get 300 to go to a women's basketball game, or get 1,000 to go to a men's basketball game. And unless there's free beer, you can't get them to go to a football game. And the tickets are for nothing. You just have to walk up and pick your ticket up. I don't know what it is. I don't know if when they interview students that come here, do they ask them, you guys, if you don't like sports, Kent State's the place to go. And they've had good sports teams throughout the years. I mean, the World Series, an Elite Eight in basketball, a number of All-Americans. They had another All-American in wrestling again this year. And they went for years without any All-Americans. I can remember a 20-year stretch where they didn't have any. So, I mean, the sports teams are better, and the kids are smarter today. And I don't see a reason why our students at the university here don't enjoy a good student life. Do you have any comments about that, Al?
Well, I mean, I think you watch TV and you see all these other universities, and some right in the MAC. You look at Toledo and Ohio, the ones that come to mind right away in basketball. And I think the thing that students at Kent State could find if they would just give it a try and use some imagination when you go to these games is the fun you can have by doing it. These fans, the student fans that go to these games have a blast. I mean, any type of fun you want to have, whether your fun is yelling at the other team, whether your fun is just being with friends and enjoying something together and building relationships, and then the main thing, obviously, supporting your school. And I think if they could get a legion of student fans, they're starting to. We definitely have some fans that we don't want to criticize the student fans that are coming for sure, because that's great, and hopefully it can just build and become something special like these other schools have in basketball and football and even baseball, like you mentioned. Wrestling. I mean, so many good teams. Women's sports are among the leaders every year.
Well, we're getting in the area where we're starting the spring sports, and traditionally, nobody goes to the spring sports. I mean, except for the parents. Baseball's got a nice small stadium, but it's out of the way. Softball stadium's right in front of the football stadium, and I noticed they get a fair number of fans, and maybe 100, 150 at a time. Track meets, nobody goes to a track meet. And it's too bad because they have good track teams at this school, and have had them over the year. And the golf teams, well, going to a golf match is like watching paint dry. And unfortunately, today's golf, intercollegiate golf, is all tournaments, and none of them are played in Ohio, or very few are. So you will never see the golf team in action. You just read about them. And God, they won so many MAC titles. I mean, nobody has had a run at golf titles like Kent State has had in the MAC. No other golf team in the country, I would venture to guess. But the women have won, what, 14?
They won every one.
That
I'm not sure the exact number. I think 14 sounds.
They won them all.
Yes, they won every one, and the men aren't too far behind. Herb Page has had that program at an elite level for forever, and it seems like, and they're right there again this year. They're coming off of a kind of a little rough outing at the Valspar last week, but that happens. I think that would be kind of a little bump in the road. They were runner-up in the 2 tournaments before that. They've got two All-American candidates without a question. They're on the Ben Hogan watch list actually for Player of the Year, and Taylor Pendrith and Corey Connors. So that's a great place to start. And Herb's always got depth. So you like to think that they're going to be there at the end, competing to, at the very least, get to the NCAA tournament. And once they get there, if they're fortunate enough to get there, then they have a shot to do something real special there.
Well, how's this baseball team doing?
Jeff Duncan, new baseball coach at Kent State. They're coming off a nice win last night, come from behind win at Wright State. I believe that puts them at 12-9. They won 2 out of 3 last weekend to open the MAC. They go to Eastern Michigan this weekend, who's actually coming off this. They got swept by Akron last week. So, I think Jeff's biggest concern coming into the year, probably number one concern, was starting pitching. And it was a little shaky at first, but it seems to be really kind of coming around right now. They've got 3 very dependable starters, one being a freshman, Eric Lauer, who came in as a very, very highly touted recruit, and he's lived up to that billing and then some. He's 5-1 with a 2.05 ERA as a freshman.
Wow.
It just seems to be a really tough-minded kid. A lot of freshmen come in with a lot of ability, but yeah, he kind of didn't have his best stuff in his last start, and still managed to get into the 6th inning, without giving up a run. So very positive there. A local kid, Brian Clark from Stowe. He's a converted reliever, starting this year for the first time, and he struggled a little bit at the beginning, but his last 3 starts have been real solid. So they get to starting pitching, and then obviously they're going to hit the ball. They always do. He's a little concerned about defense. This is every coach is in every sport, but they're definitely going to be a contender without a question, as they always are for the MAC, and then who knows after that.
The softball team, I watched them for a number of years. They're always competitive, but when that MAC tournament starts, most of the time they just disappear.
Yeah, last year I think they were 2-0, if I remember right. Yeah. That's one of those mysteries there. I mean, they're, like you say, they're there every year, and this year should be no different again. They're 14-12, but just played their toughest non-conference schedule ever. I believe they had 8 games against ranked teams in the top 20. Won 1 of them. Could have won 3 or 4 others. So this is probably as good as she's felt coming out of it. Karen Linder, that is, another veteran coach. Has done a great job with the softball program. Probably as good as she's felt coming out of the non-conference. Definitely in several years, if not ever. So they got a great pitcher in Emma Johnson to build around. Obviously, softball's a pitcher game, and you have to have a stud there, and they do. And then they have a freshman named Maddie Grimm, who's just ripping the cover off the ball. Just incredible stuff here. I'm jotting her numbers down. She's batting .354, 9 home runs, 32 RBIs. She's approaching school records in both of those categories, and they haven't even started league play yet. So that's crazy stuff there. So, we touched on women's golf. Greg Robertson, 2nd-year coach there. Another MAC title there. I think they would be stunned if they don't do it again.
I know have a number of All-Americans on the track team.
Track team as well, absolutely. The women coming off of the indoor championship, and the men have a lot of great individuals.
Is this mostly field events or a fair amount of sprints?
It's a mixture, really. It's a mixture, really, on both teams. The men's teams have some sprinters, a little more so. The women are kind of more of a mix, but yeah, I think the women are definitely right there again to win the outdoor, coming off the indoor, and men are very competitive. A lot of good upper echelon.
Too bad they couldn't get Drew Archer out there.
Drew Archer, yeah.
I mean, he'd be a shoe-in for the finals of the 100 meters.
I would sure think so. I don't know who's going to beat him.
He's the fastest athlete that I've seen in person in 55 years of personal experience in college sports. So.
Yeah, that's saying something, and a lot of people that have seen as much as you say the same thing. I mean, he's an electrifying guy, and it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes in the draft. Obviously, his stock went up very nicely after that run at the combine, and he seems to be doing the things that he needs to do to get ready and impress some more people.
That's the thing I see about it is not a secret. Everybody, I'm sure that the school newspaper gives them a lot of great publicity, and all those athletes need is just a pat on the back when they're walking across campus, and a lot of times that little thing is what wins games in the fourth quarter, no matter what it is. And nothing like, what do they call it, the 12th man on the field?
Yep. Or whatever sport you want to pick, however you want to call it. Yep. Well, I mean, Don has brought up some great points about the students, and this is definitely a forum that if any students would like to come on and talk about Kent State sports, talk about why you don't come, anything you would like to throw at us, we would be glad to have you in here, and it's an open forum. And my email address will be popping up on the screen after we're finished here, amoff@recordpub.com. Just get with me. This is something we do every month, and we'd love to have Kent State students come on and talk about it.
Great.
All right, Don. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you taking the time. And thank you very much for joining us again on the Spot, and we'll see you again next month.
Hope to see you all soon.